what a delight was this afternoon. We've seen so many examples of the larger challenges that we face, and as Simone just indicated, indeed, that requires us to cross so many boundaries institutionally across disciplines, and also even outside of the universities that are part of this alliance as well. And at the Center for Unusual Collaborations, we focus on this very process of collaboration, which I guess many people in this room are very eager to be part of, but may also find that it can be quite challenging to collaborate, right? Because we all come in with our different backgrounds, with our different types of expertise. And so at the Center for Unusual Collaborations, we like to play around with these differences, and we also like to think about what are ways in which we can actually zoom in on the difference that we have, and how can we make them make us aware of them, and also let them play a role within those collaborations. And I would now like to invite actually to the stage the 4 members of the board that are present here to join us in one of those exercises of playing a bit with the challenges that we have here. Yes, I'm glad that you didn't sit down, because indeed it's not a time to sit down right now. We're going to be asking you some questions, and we're going to ask you to take a position. And this is because what we hear very often in collaborations is that we have these language differences, right? We have different ways of speaking, we use the same words for different meanings, or we use different words for the same meaning. But we think that those language differences are actually symptoms of underlying differences that we bring along into collaborations. And therefore we like to zoom into that a bit. Like, where do we come from? How do we perceive the world? How do we, what is our background? Which role is it playing in the way that our perspectives are shaped? And that is how we like to get to know you also a bit better, because you are a collaboration across the 4 institutes, of course. I should say that we are missing here Arno Hoes, the Dean and Vice President of the Executive Board of the University Medical Center, who unfortunately couldn't be here. But we still have 4 gentlemen here lined up. And yes, so... lined up? Yes. Let's go. We have a line here,
okay.
And you may consider this line as a spectrum. So it's not binary. You don't have to necessarily be on one end entirely. You can not make a full choice. But we like to practice first, indeed. Okay. So if you prefer cats, you can situate yourself on that side of the line. If you, on the other hand, prefer dogs, you can be here. And don't take too long to think about it, please. So many questions to ask right now. But I'm afraid that due to time, we will have to continue to the next round one, the next statement, and then you will have a chance to elaborate on your choice. So, in this case, we have 2 statements. The first one is, you consider yourself to be primarily situated within one discipline. Then you can position yourself there, where Henk is now. Okay. I see the logic there. For the viewer, yes. Yes, and that side, if you consider yourself to be situated across disciplines or post-disciplines.
Okay, yeah, no, then I'm a little bit more here.
Some outliers, some distribution. Yeah. No, let's start with one of the outliers first. Maybe Arthur, can you say something?
Yeah, well, I'm not really a very disciplinary person. So I did my master in technology, my PhD in social sciences, and since then always worked in the combinations and also transdisciplinary. So yeah, I think that fits most.
Okay.
Post, I don't know, post-disciplinary, but no, okay. I keep
you don't
away
know
from
if
that.
You are, or you don't know?
I don't know exactly what Yeah, well, Frank is going to explain what that exactly is.
Frank. No.
Both disciplinary,
No.
I don't know really, but I started off in a particular discipline in mechanical engineering. I ended up in biology, so that I crossed disciplines in a way. And I've also been active in particular the second half of my career in a very multidisciplinary setting, collaborating with a lot of people in the University Medical Center in Utrecht, in the medical field. So that was kind of interesting for me. So I consider myself to be a bit more cross-disciplinary than from a single discipline, even though I feel that you have to start from a particular discipline, and then you can add value and develop yourself a bit further. At least that's my experience.
Yeah, that's a statement, huh? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah?
Anton, yeah.
Yeah, I started, of course, with one discipline. I'm trained as a veterinarian. A lot of background with life sciences. Then already for 20 years, more than 20 years ago, I went into administration jobs, general manager of a company outside universities. So I trained myself already to go post-disciplinary and to look to all things together, and came back to university, and I had some other positions also in my professional career. So I feel myself more post-disciplinary and across-disciplinary.
So it's more for politeness that you're on this side, because actually you could be all the way...
Yeah, otherwise Henk is so...
Then Henk, how did you end up here?
You ask us to take some, let's say, unusual positions every now and then. But I'm definitely not post-disciplinary. It seems like a horror scenario for me, like postmodernism and these kind of things. But over the years, I've been working together with a lot of people from other disciplines. My background is in law, constitutional law. People from, let's say, political science, economics, but also, let's say, in the field of the humanitarian things. But I have, let's say, a depth of knowledge in all these disciplines, like a surfboard, something like that. Huh? So if people take me seriously, if they want to take me seriously as a scholar,
we do.
Yeah, well, I think that I'm some kind of an expert in constitutional law, and I think that's my main background, and I act from that.
Yeah, thank you. That was nice to hear from all of you. Next one up. Yes. This is an education-focused one. You can read it also in front of you if you want. In 30 years' time, higher education students will be in the lead in determining their own individual curricula. This side. Yes, and the companies and governments in the lead on that side. Well, you're even outside of the spectrum. Very much position taking here. Okay, I'm going to ask two of you in this case to say something with an eye on time also. So maybe a bit more of the extremes again. Can I ask you, Frank, why are you outside of the spectrum?
I mean, the way we're currently setting up the curricula is offering a lot of electives for the students and a lot of space for the students to develop themselves. Clearly, they need some guidance for that, because otherwise they can be all over the place. But I think the future in education is that the students are much more aware where they would like to go, and that they can follow their own path. It will take a couple of years before we're there, because it requires a lot of investment. But at the same time, I do not think we should actually go into the direction where the government or even companies define what we should educate. Clearly, there can be constant talks with all the stakeholders that we have in place. But at the end of the day, it's a responsibility for the university to offer the kind of education that we think is relevant for them. And it's up to the students to feel, okay, this is the best thing I can move into. And that's my position.
Yeah,
It's also
thank
a
you.
wish.
It
That's
is?
something else. Yeah, it's a wish.
It's also a wish.
It's a wish.
A wish, yeah.
It's a terrible wish.
Competition, right there. Yeah, maybe, Henk, do you want to elaborate a bit on your position?
Perhaps government will play a role, and should play a role, but companies, as we heard this afternoon from Marco Hackert, they will definitely not lead us into a transition, into, let's say, circular economy or these kind of things. So we definitely have to organize, let's say, the future in another way, and not through companies. So I think that...
You
Yeah.
are then on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
I have to take it in order.
Very
It's very good.
confusing, no? I fell for the same trap, yeah. Okay, and this...
You told us you have to read this one, eh? This one is there, yeah? Please look around. I'm in the correct position.
You're halfway. I think it's halfway. You're halfway.
Isn't it great? Confusion, it leads to all sorts of insights, yeah.
But it's not the language
yeah,
now
yeah.
that creates confusion.
No, it's the method indeed. Does
Yeah, but I
any-
think
yeah.
what is really missing here is us, university. So that's why I'm standing in the middle.
Yeah. Okay.
So next to indeed students. Here we go. That's the Utrecht Wageningen front. No, I think that universities do play a role in deciding also together, of course, with students, what are now the key, core themes and end results of curricula.
Yeah.
So, middle positions, always good.
Yeah, middle position is always good. Anton, could you maybe elaborate a little bit also on how you see this playing out in the Alliance at the moment?
We see already happen that, because students can choose, and that's my wish, that within the Alliance, students can start at Eindhoven, Wageningen, Utrecht, whether it's the medical center or not, and can use all possibilities within the other institutions. So we're already starting with that choice, that students can choose everything for their personal career and for their personal development. And that's my wish, that in education, we can give every student their own path to go away to the society.
Yeah.
And so I think we are doing that, and that's one of the most important things, I guess, because that's the societal thing we're doing with our students.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're going to do that.
Great, great. Thank you. Let's go to the next one and let's turn around and see which side we should be on.
Are you sure?
Yes. The last one, a quite profound question about the purpose of science or scientists and scholars. Let's not forget our colleagues from the humanities also. Have only interpreted the world. The point, however, is to change it, is this side. Scientists have tried to change the world. The point, however, is to understand it, is that side where Frank is now located. And this is for those of you that have been observant, free to Marx. Karl Marx came up with, but he spoke about the philosophers. Yes. Okay, I don't know where to put myself in the across all of you. Be able to look in that direction. Yeah, maybe before we will elaborate, I would also like to ask the audience. Maybe this is a quite fundamental question, no? Around why are we here actually in the universities or the related institutes? Maybe you want to just chat with your neighbor. We'll take some 2 minutes for it. What is your idea here? And then we'll get back to the stage.
They can stand here as well.
Can I have your attention again? Yeah, this is lost, eh? Yeah. Yes. Such big questions. 2 minutes, impossible. Yes. But yeah, we would like to just hear from the gentleman here. What is their position on this issue? Yeah, let's start here again.
Well, if you look back in time, you look at what scientific discoveries have actually changed societies, it's quite impressive, to be honest. So quite often, I think we're not even aware of what we're doing, but the impact of what we have in science is tremendous. ASML, I hope many of you now today know what the company ASML is making these wafer steps. But actually, they're using science from about 100 years ago, even more than that. And at that point in time, it was just another discovery, and no one realized what you could do with it. And today, it's whatever. I mean, it's changing society in a way. So a lot of these things that we do as scientists may not have an immediate impact on society, but quite often it has very much a long-term impact. Well, just look at the vaccines that we've recently used to protect ourselves against the COVID virus. When it was discovered, when all this technology was discovered, they had no idea that this would be the application. So that's why I think that implicitly scientists really change the world in ways that they probably don't really understand. And perhaps at points in time it would be helpful if they would understand that a little bit better. And that's, I think, part of what we're trying to achieve within this alliance.
Thank you.
So that would be, and that's perhaps a bit of an engineering point of view. You can almost see the separation here, but that's...
We appreciate
my
you
perspective
taking
of things.
position here to have a bit of diversity across the room. Arthur, would you want to...
Yeah, well, the thing I learned from the Alliance is, especially from Kuko, is never get into a frame which is forced on you. So I thought I'd step out of this line. I'm going to deviate a little bit from that. But it's also... So I think scientists have changed the world already. So they did not try that, they have done that. If we see how much science contributed to all kinds of new developments, I think, yeah, you cannot deny that. And so in that sense, I'm very close to Frank, and we both have a technological background indeed. But the other side is indeed, yeah, we did not really did that very reflexively always. So understanding what we did as scientists, both from the social as well as from the natural side and the technological side, we need to do that much more better. And I think that's also one of the things we need to do in the Alliance. So reflect also on the scientific approaches. And with that, of course, continue to change the world, but in a direction which we also like it to be. And which we think is also morally and ethically desirable for the future. So.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's really a call for that collaboration across boundaries.
And for this line.
Yeah, for this, against the line, yeah. Anton.
I was challenged by the last point of this side. The point, however, is to change it. So I think this alliance, with all knowledge and science together, can try to change things. Because, of course, scientists know everything, we look to living technologies, etc. But the point is, how can we change the world? And can we influence the world with this alliance? For instance, why don't we make white papers? To say, as scientists, to politicians, to society, this is what happens, and why aren't we going to debate about this? Because we should change the world, not by scientists, but by all. And we can, I think, give that direction to that sort of thinking, like climate. There is no discussion about the general future in this country anymore. So, and we can try with this alliance, with all possibilities we do have. We are very... with a broad university, technical universities, so about every societal challenge, we can have an opinion with senior people, with young people, and to say to society, okay, this is what happens, and why aren't we discussing it in this way? So try to change it.
Okay, thank you. Henk.
Yeah, well, of course, I fully agree with all my colleagues in the Alliance, and especially with Anton, of course. But there is an extra to it, I think. As we heard this afternoon, but we hear it all the time, we are dealing with serious crises in the world. Climate crisis is one of them, poverty, etc. And the people in power who really should organize changes are not organizing these changes. The seats of power are, especially in the Netherlands momentarily, are rather empty. So I see quite an obligation for us as universities and knowledge institutes to take up the challenge and to take a more activist approach to organizing the change that is really needed to preserve the earth and etc. So I think that, we have to deal with an extra obligation. And I think that, of course, the Alliance as such is already dealing with that. We heard this afternoon. And therefore, I'm very, very pleased that we have this cooperation. And therefore, I very much enjoy being part of this type of collaboration. Although it's rather unusual every now and then.
Thank you so much. A call for activism. That's music to Kuko's ears, I think. So thank you very much, Frank, Arthur, Anton and Henk.
Thank you.
Yeah.